So today we are going to start with 3.7, that is type of proteins. Now in our previous topic, that is 3.6, we studied about structure of protein, what protein is made up of. Protein is made up of amino acids, and amino acids are those compounds which contain COOH, that is carboxylic acid group, as well as amino group, that is NH2 group. And when these two carboxylic acids combines together, they form a peptide. That peptide, whenever so many of peptides, around 22 25 peptides join together, they form a protein. Okay, and the
Yeah.
bond C double bond O and H is known as peptide bond. Okay, now we are going to start with the types of protein. So basically we have two main group of protein. The first one is the globular and the fibrous. Okay, now globular means uh, you can say it's like a ball. Okay, and fibrous means thread-like structure. Now, globular proteins are compact, water-soluble, and usually roughly spherical in shape. Okay. Have you ever seen wool? Sometimes your mom, or if you have seen your grandmother or anyone, they knitting, they make sweaters. You have seen wool?
Yeah.
Yeah, this wool is what that shape, globular shape. Fine. So globular
Okay.
proteins are those proteins which are compact. They are water soluble and usually roughly spherical in shape, like this one. Okay, they form they form when protein folds into their tertiary structure in such a way that the hydrophobic R groups on the amino acid are kept away from the aqueous environment, and the hydrophilic R groups are on the outside of the protein. This means the protein are soluble in water. Now, this point is important, that this group is having two type of R group. The one is hydrophilic, that is water hating, and the water loving one, and the other one is the hydrophobic, that is the water hating one. So this hydrophobic R group on the amino acid is kept away from the aqueous environment, and the R group which is hydrophilic, which is water loving, is kept outside the protein, which makes this protein water soluble. Okay, this solubility is important for many different functions of globular protein. They are essential for regulating many of the processes necessary for life. As you see in later section, this includes processes such as chemical reactions, immunity, muscle contraction, and many more different types. Okay. Now, first type of globular protein that we are going to study is insulin. Now, insulin is a globular protein. It is a hormone involved in the regulation of blood glucose concentration. It regulates, or you can say it, because of this only, whatever the blood sugar levels are there, it was regulated by that particular hormone that is known as insulin, and it is excreted by the pancreas. Hormones are transported in the bloodstream, so need to be soluble. So that's why they need to be dissolved in water so that they can spread each and every part of the body through blood. So that's why it is necessary that globular protein is water soluble. Hormones also have to fit into specific receptor on cell surface membrane to have their effect, and therefore need to be recessive shape, and they are in a very particular shape. Hormones, whenever they combine to some cell surface, they have to be a specific shape so that they combine, just like a lock and key. So in a lock, you can't fix any key. You can't open that lock with any key. That key should be of the particular shape. Then only the lock will open. The same way, the hormones should have a specific shape so that they stick to the cell surface and do whatever the chemical reactions and effective things are there. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Any doubt up to this point?
I just don't understand if you like It's the words which I just don't understand.
Which one?
Like, I understand like what it is, but
Mhm.
but I just don't understand like different types, like what it's saying.
Globular protein is what? It's a type of protein, simple type of
Yeah,
protein. Okay, and this globular protein means it is conjugated one, or just leave this word conjugated. It is like a compact. For example, if you have taken a thread and you are making a ball of it, so it is a compact one. Okay. And
okay.
second property is it is water soluble. It can be easily soluble in water and usually roughly spherical in shape. Like this, you can say it is almost spherical in shape. Okay. And they
Yeah.
form when proteins are folded into the tertiary structure. Now, how it is formed? Suppose you have a thread. Suppose, okay, now see this. Wait, just let me open the can. Yeah, am I visible?
Yeah.
Okay, now can you see this thread, this earphone?
Yeah.
Okay, now suppose this is structure. I am making it like this. Now it is converted as a what? A spherical in
Like,
shape, compact.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
converts it to spherical in shape. So this is known as what? Globular protein. Means the
Okay.
shape of globular protein is something like this. So the
Okay.
protein, again and again I am folding. I did what? I am folding this again and again, again and again. That's why it is like this. Here,
Yeah.
okay. And it has two type of R groups. One R group is hydrophobic and the other R group is hydrophilic. Now hydrophobic, hydro means water, phobic means hate, afraid of. Fine.
Okay.
If something
Yeah.
is afraid of water, so it will not dissolve in water automatically. So it need to be
Okay.
kept away from the aqueous environment. And the one which is water loving need to be kept outside so that this means the protein are soluble in water. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. And this solubility, why this is it is important that it is soluble in water or not? Because protein need to be transported to every part of the body. Now, to transport it to the every part of the body, it need to be dissolved in blood, and blood contains water. Okay, so it need to be
Yeah.
dissolved in blood. So that's why the solubility is important. The solubility is important for many different functions of the globular protein. They are essential for regulating many processes of life, as you have seen in the that we will study how they are regulating a different process of life. Okay, clear?
Yeah.
This now globular protein is clear, Anya?
Yeah. It's clear.
Okay, and what about insulin? Do I need to tell it again, insulin part?
Yeah. Can you tell it again,
Yeah,
please?
sure. Okay, now insulin is a type of a globular protein. It is a hormone involved in the regulation of blood sugar concentration. The function of insulin is to regulate blood sugar concentration. Now, insulin is okay. Now, see figure this one. This is insulin. The complex shape of globular protein formed from the folding of primary structures into secondary structure helix, which are further folded to tertiary structure. Now, this insulin is folded again and again, again and again, and makes a circular or a spherical structure. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. And the function of insulin is to regulate blood sugar concentration in our body. Now, hormones are transported in the bloodstream, so need to be soluble. Fine.
Yeah.
If something needs to control the regulation of sugar inside the blood, so it need to be get inside to the blood, that then only it will control, na? Otherwise it will not
Yeah.
control. Fine.
Yeah.
So it means it need to be dissolved in blood. So that's why it is important to be water soluble. So hormones are transported in the bloodstream. So need to be soluble. Fine.
Yeah.
Now hormones also have to fit into a specific receptor. Now, if you see lock and key, now suppose this is a hormone, fine, and this, wait, so this is hormone, and this is a receptor. So this hormone will fix into this one like this, something like this.
Yeah.
Okay, this is known as what? Lock and key hypothesis. Now hormones have to fit in the specific receptor on cell surface membrane, so have their effect, and therefore they have to be in specific shape. If this hormone is not of this specific shape, then it will not get into fit into this particular receptor, and if it is not going to that receptor, then it will not work. Clear?
Yeah.
Suppose you want to okay, suppose you have car, or suppose you have any, you want to open your cupboard, fine, and it's locked. So you can open this cupboard with only your key, na? It's not like that you can put any key into it and open it. Is it so?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it means your key should be specific to that particular lock.
Yeah.
Then only it will work. Then only you can open lock. In the
Yeah.
same way that these hormones also have to be specific of shape and size, so that they can attach to their receptor and work effectively. Clear?
Yeah.
Got it? Any doubt now?
No.
Okay. Now conjugated protein. Conjugated protein are globular proteins that contains non-protein component called prosthetic group. Now protein sometimes also is attached with a non-protein group, and this non-protein group is known as a prosthetic group. Proteins without prosthetic group are known as simple protein, and protein with prosthetic group are known as a conjugated protein. Clear?
So proteins.
Protein. Okay, now with protein, sometimes there is a non-protein part is also attached to it.
Okay.
Fine. With some proteins,
Yeah.
there is a non-protein part that is attached to it. That non-protein part is known as a prosthetic group. Okay. And the
Okay.
protein which contains this prosthetic group is known as a conjugated protein. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now, the one, or you can say the protein which do not have any prosthetic group are known as simple protein. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in prosthetic group also there are different types. Lipids or carbohydrates can combine with protein and forming lipoprotein and glycoprotein. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this prosthetic group combines with lipids and carbohydrates and form lipoprotein and glycoprotein. Metal ions and molecules derived from vitamin also form prosthetic group. Second prosthetic group is metal ions. First prosthetic group is lipid and carbohydrate, which forms lipoprotein and glycoprotein. Second
Yeah.
prosthetic group is metal ions and molecules derived from the vitamin, also form prosthetic group. They are called cofactors, which are necessary for the protein to carry out their function. Clear? Which are necessary for the protein to carry out their function. For example, hema group as an example of prosthetic group, they contain an iron that is Fe+2. Hemoglobin. You remember the word hemoglobin?
Yeah.
Hemoglobin is in the blood. So
Yeah.
globin is the protein and hema is the prosthetic group attached to it. Okay. And in hema group, we have Fe+2, that is the metal ion. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
So catalase and hemoglobin both contain hemogroup. So catalase and hemoglobin, they are the two proteins or two hormones which contain both hemogroup. They are the conjugated protein.
Yeah.
Got it clear?
Yeah.
Okay, now we will study about hemoglobin. Now, hemoglobin is a red oxygen-carrying pigment found in RBC, that is red blood cell. It is a quaternary protein, made up of 4 polypeptides, 2 alpha and 2 beta subunits. Now, this is a quaternary protein that is made up of 4 polypeptide chains. 2 are alpha and 2 are beta subunits. Fine?
Yeah.
Subunit means different amino acids, they are saying. Each subunit consists of a prosthetic hemogroup. The iron present in the hemogroup groups are each able to combine reversibly with oxygen molecule. Now, each hemogroup contains ions present into it, and they can combine reversibly with the oxygen molecule. This is what enables hemoglobin to transport oxygen around the body. Because of this combination of iron and oxygen, then only our blood can transport oxygen to each and every part of our body. Otherwise, it will not happen. Clear?
Yeah.
So prosthetic group, that is hemo, in hemoglobin helps to carry oxygen to the every part of the body. And how it carries? It carries with the help of a Fe+2 ion, that is the iron ion, which combines reversibly with an oxygen molecule and then transport oxygen around the body, the whole part of our body. It can pick oxygen up in the lungs and transport it to the cells that they receive, that they need it, where it is released. Okay. So now what it does, it picks from your lungs and moves it through the every part of the body and again get back it to the heart. Clear?
Yeah.
Any doubt in this hemoglobin?
No.
Okay. Sure? Pakka?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Now we will study about the catalase. Catalase is an enzyme. Enzyme catalase reaction, meaning they increase reaction rates, and each enzyme is specific for a particular reaction or a type of reaction. Now, catalase is an enzyme which is used to increase the rate of reaction. That is, which is increased to rate, which is just used just so that the reaction will be easily finished, or it will speed up the reaction. Now, again, catalase is a quaternary protein containing 4 hemoprosthetic groups. Now, again, catalase also contains 4 hemoprosthetic groups. The presence of the iron 2, that is Fe+2 ion, in the prosthetic group allows catalase to interact with the hydrogen peroxide, that is H2O2, and speed up its breakdown. Now, it speeds up the breakdown of H2O2. Now, hydrogen peroxide is a common byproduct of the metabolism. Whatever the metabolism is going on, it is a common byproduct of that metabolism, but is damaging to cell, and cell component if allowed to accumulate. Now, what happens if this H2O2, that is hydrogen peroxide, get accumulate inside the cell, then it will cause the damage to the cell. So that's why it is need to be regularly moved out. So catalase makes sure this does not happen. It won't make this thing to accommodate inside the cell. Got it?
Yeah.
Any doubt?
I don't understand that much the second paragraph. Just a bit.
Catalase is one.
Yeah.
Okay. Now catalase is a quaternary protein. Quaternary protein means it has 4 hemoprosthetic groups. Okay. And because of this presence of iron 2 ion in it, in the prosthetic group, It allows catalysis to interact with the hydrogen peroxide and speed up its breakdown. So catalysis do what? It speed up the breakdown of the hydrogen peroxide. Now, why breakdown of hydrogen peroxide is so important? Because hydrogen peroxide, whenever is there any metabolism takes place, hydrogen peroxide is formed and it gets accumulated on the cell. Now, this hydrogen peroxide does negative impact on the cell or it will destroy the cell. So, in order to not to accumulate this hydrogen peroxide, or in order to, you can say, break down this hydrogen peroxide, this catalase is used. Clear?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, that is what we have. Clear? Any doubt up to in this point?
No.
Okay. Now fibrous protein. The fibrous protein are formed from long insoluble molecules. This is due to the presence of a high proportion of amino acids. Now fibrous means fiber-like structure. That is a very thin in nature, a thread-like structure, you can say that. And it is long and it is an insoluble molecule. This is due to the presence of high proportion of amino acids with hydrophobic R group in the primary structure. Now, in the primary structure, there are so many hydrophobic R groups are attached, so therefore it is insoluble in water. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, they contain a limited range of amino acids, usually with small R groups. The amino acid sequence in the primary structure is usually quite repetitive. Now, what happens? This amino acid has a specific repetition. For example, there are 4 amino acids A, B, C, D. So A, B, C, D. So 4 amino acids will be repeated again and again. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now this leads to a very organized structure reflected in the role of fibrous protein often has. So this will make it that particular, you can say, protein a well organized structure. Examples are keratin, elasticin, and collagen are the examples of fibrous protein. And fibrous proteins tends to make strong, long molecules which are not folded to complex 3D dimension shape such as globular protein. Now, fibrous protein do not form globular proteins. Here,
Yeah.
any doubt?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, then we will study keratin. Now, keratin is a group of fibrous protein present in hair, skin, and nails, and it has a it has a large proportion of sulfur-containing amino acids. Cysteine, that is cysteine. Cysteine is the sulfur-containing amino acid. Now, this results in many strong disulfide bonds, that is disulfide bridges, becoming strong, inflexible, and insoluble material. So, they are made up of strong, inflexible, and insoluble material. The degree of disulfide bonds determine the flexibility. Hair contains fewer bonds, making it more flexible than nails. So, whatever the amount of disulfide bonds are there, in case of hairs, it is less, but in case of nails, it is more. So hairs are flexible than that of the nails. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The unpleasant smell produced when the hair or the skin is burnt is due to the presence of relatively large number of sulfur in these proteins. Now, if you burn any wool or anything, so it will give you a bad smell. Okay, it gives you a sulfur smell. It means that protein contains a large amount of sulfur. Got it?
Yeah.
Any doubt?
No.
Okay. Then next we have elasticin. Elasticin is a fibrous protein found in elastic fiber, that is, which can be molded again. So along with small fibrous protein, Elastic fibers are present in the walls of the blood vessels and in the alveoli of the lungs. So elastic fibers are those which are present on the wall of the blood vessels and it are present on the alveoli of the lungs. They give these structures the flexibility to expand when needed. Got it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But also to return to their normal size. So they can also return to their normal size. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Ji. Now, elasticin is a quaternary protein made up of made from many sticky molecules such as teloplasticin. C is the extension on the structure of the protein or the further H or the leave it. So elasticin is a quaternary protein made up of many stretchy mountains called topoelastin. Elasticin. Elastin, sorry. Clear?
Okay.
Elasticin is clear. Do I need to repeat?
No, I get it.
Okay, now fine. Yep. Now we will take collagen. So collagen is another fibrous protein. It is a successive protein found in skin, tendons, ligaments, and the nervous system. There are a number of different forms, but all are made up of these polypeptide bonds together in a long and strong rope-like structure called rope. Collagen has flexibility. Okay, now what is collagen? Collagen is again a fibrous protein. It is a fiber thread-like structure. It is a connective tissue found in the skin. Now, it is a connective tissue which binds the skin, tendons, and ligaments, and the nervous system. It provides a connection between each and every part of the system, along with it connects our skin to the head or to the brain also. Clear? Amanya beta, आवाज आ रही है? Am I
Yeah.
audible?
Yeah.
So there are a different forms, but all are made up of 3 polypeptide. Most of they're different forms, but most of them they are made up of 3 polypeptide bound together in a long and rope-like structure. So one polypeptide chain is there, so we wrap 3 polypeptide chain and make a one rope of it. Like rope, collagen has flexibility. Got it? Clear collagen?
Yeah, it's clear.
Any doubt?
No.
Okay. So this types of protein structure of fibrous elasticin is there in your syllabus or not?
Which one?
See this collagen. There are 3 strands are there. They are combined together and form one. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's there or not? Structure of fibrous protein.
We haven't. When we had this lesson, we didn't have the lesson, so we haven't been told this.
Okay, you have not told this. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay, what you want? You want to continue this or you want to just leave it?
How much more is it in this topic?
You're finished.
Oh, then I can continue with this.
Okay, so we will continue this structure of fibrous protein. Fine.
Yeah.
Now, elasticin is made up of by linking many soluble topoelasticin. So these are the elasticins. So how it is made? Elasticin is made by linking many soluble tropoelasticin protein molecules to make a very large and soluble and stable cross-linked structure. So it is forming a cross-linked structure, that is a 3D structure that is linked again and again somewhere like this. Now, topoelastin molecules are able to stretch and recoil without breaking, acting like small springs. Now, what topoelastin is the capability? So they are able to stretch and recoil without breaking. So we can stretch them, we can recoil them without breaking and acting like a small spring. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. They contain alternative hydrophobic and lysine-rich areas. Some are hydrophobic and some are lysine-rich areas in them. Got it?
Yeah.
Now, elasticin is formed when multiple tropoelasticin molecules aggregate via interaction between the hydrophobic areas. Now, elasticins are nothing but tropoelasticin groups, multiple group of tropoelasticin via interaction between the hydrophilic areas. And it has, you can say, little bit of interaction with the hydrophobic areas. The structure is stabilized. Yes, what?
No, I just said yes. Like,
You got it now?
yeah, I got it.
Okay, yeah. The structure is stabilized by cross-linking covalent bonds involving the amino acid lysine, but the polypeptide structure still has flexibility. Clear?
So,
Yeah, this paragraph, do I need to repeat it again?
yeah, can you repeat that one
Yeah,
again?
elasticin is formed when multiple tropoelasticin molecules aggregate via interaction between the hydrophobic and the hydrophobic area. Fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what happens? It aggregates. It means it combines together like this. Oh. Sorry. Three point कितना था?
Sorry?
What was the page number?
Oh, it was
We're doing 3.7 now.
page number is 64. 64.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Hanji. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Any doubt in this now?
No, not really.
Hmm?
No.
So this whole points are clear now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now structure of protein that we have covered. Types of protein we did, fibrous protein we did, keratin we did, elasticin, collagen. Yes. So we were discussing this paragraph. So elasticin is formed when multiple tropoelasticin molecules aggregate. Now these small tropo molecules aggregate each other via interaction between the hydrophobic areas. So whatever the hydrophobic areas, so they repel from the water and they move together at one point like this. Fine?
Yeah.
Move away from the water and form like this. Now, the structure is stabilized by cross-linking covalent bonds involving amino acid lysine. Now, this is made cross-linking thing. The cross-linking bonds are manufactured or made across this particular polar one. Across this aggregate structure. Clear? And here we have a cross-linking. It is a 3D structure. Cross-linking structure means 3D structure. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now what happens? The covalent bond involving the amino acid lysine, but the polypeptide structure is also flexible. This polypeptide structure, whatever it is formed, it is now flexible. Now, elasticin confers strength and elasticity of the skin and the other tissues of the organs in the body. Now, elasticin, because of this elasticin only, we have soft tissues and soft skin and other organs of the body. Clear?
Yeah.
Up to this point, any doubt?
No.
Okay, so you can see this is a cross-link structure. Now, collagen. Now, collagen molecules have three polypeptide chains wounded each other in a simple tricyclic structure. Now, these are the three chains. It has been wrapped together. Clear?
Yeah.
The collagen molecules have three polypeptide chains wounded each other into a triple helix structure to form a tough rope-like protein. Now, it is a rope-like protein and its three ropes are combined together and form a triple helical structure. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in this case, what happens? Every third amino acid in a polypeptide chain is glycine. Every third amino acid in this chain is a glycine, which is a small amino acid, which is a very small amino acid. It is small size, always the three protein molecules to form a closely tied triple helix. Yes, what are you saying? Yes, Manya, you want to ask something?
No, I get
No?
it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I will repeat this, no issue. So every third amino acid is a polypeptide chain in glycine. Okay. So every third amino acid, whatever the amino acids are there in polypeptide chain, is glycine. Okay. Which is a small amino acid. Glycine itself is a small amino acid. It has a small size, allows the three protein molecules to form closely packed. Its small size allows the three protein molecules to form a closely packed triple helix. Now, many hydrogen bonds formed between the polypeptide chain forming long quaternary proteins. Is that point clear?
Yeah.
Okay. Long quaternary proteins with a staggered end. Now, this end is not clear. They are staggered. Now, these allows the protein to join end to end, forming a long fibril called topocollagen, and the topocollagen fibers cross-link to produce strong fiber. Now, first, what happens? This one single, they combine together into a multiple triple helix structure, and then it will be removed. The topocollagen fibers cross-link to produce a stronger fiber, and these fibers, they again cross-link and again form a stronger fiber. Is that clear up to this point? Manya?
Pardon?
Yeah, is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. Now, collagen has contain high proportion of amino acids, proline and hydroxyl proline. Remember that proline and hydroxyl proline are present in collagen, and the R group in these amino acids repel each other, and this adds to the stability of collagen. Now, whatever the R groups are attached in the this collagen, each repel each other. They are not. There is no force of attraction between them. Clear? Now, in some tissues, the multiple fiber of collagen aggregates into large bundles. The multiple fibers of collagen aggregates into large bundles, and this is the structure found in the ligaments and the tendons. In skin, collagen fiber forms a mesh that is resistant to tearing. Okay, now what happens in some tissue? Multiple fibers of collagen aggregate into a large bundle. So now these multiple bonds, they combine together and form a big large bundle. And these structures are found in ligament and tendons. And this is the structures we found in ligaments and tendons. And in skin, collagen fibers forms a mesh that is resistant to tearing. Our skin is again a collagen fiber which is in a mesh form so that you can't tear your skin. Clear? Yes, Manya, is that clear?
Yeah.
Any doubt up to this point?
Pardon?
Any doubt up to this point?
No. I get it now.
Okay, that's good. Okay, just quickly, read it quickly. Quickly read it.